So this is part 2 of class exercise number 2, and I'd like for you to talk to you about, if you can look at this time right now, we open up the My App is the app that you just created. I'm going to talk about some of these directories in here and some of these file structures up here with it as well. So the first thing I want to point out is the node underscore module. Node underscore module are all the packages. If I expand this right here, these are all the packages that comes with the template with it. You rarely have to deal with this right here with it. It has to do with all the nodes, the JS nodes that you bring into it. There are a lot of times these files, these are library files, and how the project is doing this as well. The second folder, all of these are what's called pseudo folders with it. These are actually the files that we're going to look at. We're going to clean up a lot of the stuff with it. And one of the things we're going to look at is the index.html. I want you to bring your attention to this index.html right here with it. And the most important part out of all of this, if you look at the index.html, is this part right here. All right, it's the div id equals root, and it's the div. So your content of your page, most of the time, will go here. Okay, so we're gonna. The purpose I want to show you this is that we're going to see how the index.html talks to, if you expand the down arrow, the little arrow that collapses it, and click on it, it expands the content of that folder. And I'm in the src, which is short for source, with it. So I'm going to talk to you about this. All right. A couple of things. So the first thing we're going to look at is the favorite icon. You know what that is. Well, that's the little thing that goes on top of your title with it as well. It's this little thing right here. Index, logo, all this we're going to actually replace. I want to delete this in a second here with it, but not now. I want to go over each one of these things with you. So there's some sort of a app style sheets with this. All right, you should be able to be familiar with some CSS here with it. This is an external CSS. That's an app.css with it. This comes with it. The other file is the app.js. We're going to talk to you about this one. All right, I want to talk to you about this file and this file, how the two files talk to each other. You have one is the presentation file, and the other one is how it mounts. Mount, M-O-U-N-T, mount, like you would mount a statue on a pedestal. Okay, how would you mount that onto a platform? The mounting of the file is the apps.js. The index is the presentation file. You can think about how the apps, the index.h is more of a presentation, but how are you going to display it is the question. All right. So that takes part is the index.js with it. The other stuff that you're looking at here is, like I said, the index, the logo. All these are vector graphics with it. Some JavaScript files with it. Setups. A lot of the stuff you don't have to mess with it. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about the GitHub. Ignore with it. This is something that you when you do SVN share version control with it. Don't worry about this one with it. The other one I want to get into with you is the package JSON with it, and the package dash lock JSON with it. These are the two. Of course, this one right here doesn't say too much about the README. It just talks to you about the command lines with it as well. So, but the key one I want to start out is to dissect this is between the index.js and your index.html. The two files, one is a presentation file, and the other file is how it's mounted into your web browser with it. All right. So, which brings to mind is why do I want to use React? Well, if all of you have used some sort of, if you watch Game of Thrones, Netflix, Ozarks, anything like these shows, these subscriptions that you pay, Netflix, behind the scene for Netflix, the engine for that is React. That's one. Now, that's one of the top apps out there for streaming, right? The second one is Facebook. It's a social media website, Twitter, a lot of these, all these things that you see out there, social media wise, it does React. with it. The engine is really sweet. It's a front-end design. It is a component language with it. It's designed for layout and some of the stuff that you're going to talk about with it. So you have to bear with me why I choose React in this development with it. All right. Okay. So I'm not going to talk too much about this. I want us to go in right now with it. Here's what I want you to do. If you could do this on Windows. You could do this on a DOS command. It doesn't matter with it. But since we got the DOS command open right here with it, let me close out of this developer server with it. I have the development server. I want you to make a note of this. If you call localhost 3000, that's the development server that's running on the React with this as well. So if we go into this thing, and we're going to take a look at it in the live server for this thing with it, before you go on with it, if you can please open up your extension over here on the left hand side, these 4 cubes. And those of you that haven't had me before, if you had me before, you know what I'm talking about. I'd like for you to install what's called the live server. It's by Redwick, this one right here, first one. So make sure you download that. Mine says I already have it installed, so just click on it. It downloads it, so we can actually test it out with it as well. So that's the first extension I need for you to download. Don't bother about my other stuff. I have about 20 extensions in here that I do with it as well. So come back to this page for me if you could. Do File, close the folder with it. Just close out the folder with it. And I'd like for you to come into, let's just look at the folder. I'm going to do let me do this. Let's open up the command line. Get used to command line. So here's my command line, right? Let's come over here. CD, desktop. CD, what? React, right? And CD, sandbox. And you might think, Dan, how do you know all these commands with this? Well, because I created the directory. If you have any dots, just list it out for me as well. So in the sandbox, all right, in the sandbox with it, I like to just call, let's back out. Sorry, back out for me. Just do CD, dot for me. Here's the React. We're going to do class, what's that command to make directory? MK, short, dir, right? MK, make, dir's make directory, and I want you to create this directory, class ext2 for me, okay? Just do class ext2 like that. So what does this do? It's going to make a subdirectory called class ext2 for me. Uppercase the C, uppercase the E for me. No spaces, no special character. Alpha and text. Hit enter, and it should create a class like that. So here it is, right? Class ext2. I am going to use my Visual Code open folder. I want to navigate to that sandbox that I just created right here. Not the sandbox. It's a subdirectory of React. I'm sorry. So you see where it says class ext2, ex2. All right. So that opens it up with it, right? Now, this is what it looks like right here. This is what it looks like with it as well. Let's just create a simple index page for me. Can you do that? I clicked on this little plus sign right here, this little icon right here. There's a plus sign right here. If you hover over it, it says new file. And you click on it, and I want you to call this index, lowercase HTML. Okay? And again, let me come in here. Let me zoom in. Couple of things here. I want to do view. Let's word wrap this thing. I'm going to just do a simple HTML skeleton with it. Leave all the tidbits out of there. And if you remember the two parts of your head and your title, and let's call this thing class ex2 exercise number 2. Then you come down here, the other part's the head, other part's the body. Okay, so this is the basic skeleton. I want you to actually see what we're doing with this as well. Let me give you a second, pause, freeze the computer. This is the basic skeleton. Of course, there's in language is English on here. I can put in a couple more meta tags in here if I want to, but this is the basic page that we're going to actually start out working with this as well. So pause this for me, get the skeleton in for me, and if you recall, the white dot means what? It needs to be saved, so Control S with it. So here we go. If we can just do this for me. Do it in H1. Keyboard is sticking for some reason. So it looks like this. Okay. Take advantage of your IntelliSense with it. So I'm going to say hello world. You should be able to do something like this very, very, very plain way for Control S with it as well. And right mouse click on the file. Once you install the live server, click on live server. It's going to open up that. There it is. So this is what it looks like right here. Okay. This is the hello world. This is what we have right here. Cool. I'm going to stop the video. This is the end of part 2, and I'm going to pick up here in a second.